This is the conference by Minister Motegi. Over to you.
Following Abe and Suga cabinet, at the Kishida cabinet as well, I will continue to serve as foreign minister. I solicit your continued cooperation. Amid the global surge of COVID-19, and for the past 1 year and a half, face-to-face meeting has been very much constrained. So far, over a 2-year period, I had nearly 200 telephone conferences as well as video conferences. Also, in August last year in London, there was a Japan-UK EPA negotiation which had started all, and I visited Europe, United States, Asia, Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. I visited 52 countries and regions in all, and I have built personal relations with foreign ministers of various countries and advanced diplomacy with tolerance and strength. First is one of the most important global challenges, that is anti-COVID measure. To ensure equitable access of vaccine, on June the 2nd, Japan had co-hosted a vaccine summit and has also provided vaccines to Southeast Asian countries as well as Pacific Island countries in kind support. After the vaccines arrive in the country, we had provided last 1 mile support to make sure that vaccines will reach those in need. These activities of Japan were valued highly by the world. To overcome the pandemic, we will continue to play our role proactively. In advanced countries as well, to a certain extent, vaccination had advanced so that infections have become much more low. However, vaccination will not go on in some countries. The virus will remain. If such a thing would happen, then resurge of COVID might take place anytime. That is a risk. So no one is safe until everyone is safe. Under that notion, we will continue providing assistances to developing countries. On the other hand, looking at the regional environment surrounding security, as seen in the recent North Korea's activities in nuclear and missile, as well as unilateral attempt to change the status quo in East China Sea, including Senkaku Islands, security environment surrounding Japan is becoming severe. The free and open Indo-Pacific vision that Japan has been promoting is expanding because this is a growth center of the world and there is a power balance changes which are being witnessed. That is the region we are living in. Therefore, since my inauguration, I have built a solid trusting relationship with the United States, including Secretary Blinken, and have worked to strengthen Japan-U.S. alliance, which is a cornerstone of our diplomacy and security policy. So this morning, Prime Minister Kishida had a telephone conversation call with President Biden, 20-minute conversation. Very frank discussion was held. Well, so far in Obama administration, Prime Minister Kishida used to be the foreign minister, and with Vice President Biden then, they had met several times. So Joe and Fumio will be the way that they will be calling each other. I really hope that they can deepen their personal relationship even further. As for the security policy, I will continue to make national security policy of Japan more strategic and systematic and strengthen deterrence and capability of Japan-U.S. alliance. And for free and open Indo-Pacific vision that Japan has been promoting, is expanding in various different ways toward realizing the vision based on democracy, rule of law, and human rights, etc., which are the basic value. We will continue working with Quad, Japan, US, Australia, India, as well as ASEAN, and with Europe. I will strongly advance concrete cooperation. And this cooperation has been seen in the infrastructure setup, and in the area of maritime security has expanded to cooperation vaccines, and in climate change as well, and supply chain resilience and so forth. In this cooperation had expanded to various different areas, and I would like to broaden even further the area for our cooperation and build an ever more strong relationship. Of course, our relations with our neighbors are also important. There are difficult issues indeed, but because of that, we continue the high-level communication with China, ROK, and Russia. We made a point where we should, and while managing problems, we will continue to work on building stable relations. In economic area, as seen in the TPP-11 and the conclusion of Japan-US trade agreement, Japan-UK EPA, and RCEP, Japan has been exerting leadership in expanding free and fair economic area, as well as new rule-making in digital area. Indeed, we had exerted leadership, and we've been valued highly by other countries. And very shortly, MC12 meeting is scheduled. Japan will continue its economic diplomacy with its ownership. Of course, the era of our economy is changing. We look for 21st century type economy and attune to that. Accordingly, rules and systems need to be built. That's my belief. As for the climate change, we will work toward attaining carbon neutrality in 2050 and reducing greenhouse gas emission by 46% in fiscal 2030 by advancing domestic measures. And at the same time, we will work and cooperate globally and reinforce efforts to achieve SDGs, thereby addressing global challenges firmly. Also, under the new Kishida government, we are the only country which have been dropped with a bomb. So we would like to take the nuclear weapon country to a world without a nuclear weapon, inclusive of the US, and we would like to take leadership on that. From this viewpoint, in January next year, NPT review conference is being scheduled. So Japanese government will reinforce its efforts. Ever since I aspire to enter politics, my belief has been that past and nature cannot be changed, but future and society can be changed. There is a pandemic going on. We are faced with a current crisis, but this can be an opportunity to change future and society. Based on the trust that I built as foreign minister with my counterparts of the world, I will put my all-out energy to promote diplomacy and enhance Japan's presence in the international community. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to take your questions. Please raise your hands and please wait until your name is called, and please proceed to the microphone. And after stating your name and affiliation, please ask your questions. Anybody? Yamamoto-san. This is NHK Yamamoto. On economic security, I have a question. In the Kishida cabinet, we have a new minister who is in charge of economic security. And I know that there are relevant departments within MOFA, so how are you going to collaborate with him?
Well, I see that recently scope of security is expanding, not only the traditional economic area, but expanding rapidly to economy and technology. in economic security, state-to-state competition is becoming much more conspicuous, particularly for the strategic goods and critical technology, assuring them and to deter the important technology to be transferred inappropriately. Those topics have become very important. In June, the 2021 basic policy was decided by the cabinet in June. And it says that consideration will be made on economic security, including measures needed for promoting actions, including legislation. So we have a new Prime Minister, Kishida, and under his leadership, Minister has been designated for economic security. All the relevant ministries and agencies will cooperate. And it's important for entire government to work on securing economic security and advance necessary measures steadily. So MOFA will work closely with the new minister in charge of economic security. It's all of government efforts. United effort will be required. So we would proactively contribute to that.
Next question. Aibara Asahi Shimbun on Taiwan, situation surrounding Taiwan. And Chinese military aircrafts, more than 50 of them, intruded into the ADIZ, Taiwanese ADIZ, and the United States has expressed its serious concern. What would be your reaction?
Yeah, we are aware of the point out that you made. As far as Japan is concerned, we are looking for peace and stability in Taiwan Straits, which is very important. So with regard to that, on the March the 16th this year, Japan-US 2+2 meeting have been held, and also on the 16th of April, Japan-US summit meeting have been held, and through these occasions, these points have been reaffirmed. We really hope that issues over Taiwan will be resolved peacefully through the direct dialogue of direct parties. So that is our coherent position. So the government will watch carefully the development, of course. And not only watching them carefully, there are many circumstances that can be conceivable. We will be aware of that and think about what actions will be possible, and we will always think about what preparations we need to make.
Next question. Watanabe-san. Watanabe, NHK. Minister Motegi, you have been working on Japan-Russia relations. And with the new administration of Prime Minister Kishida under COVID-19, in-person peace treaty negotiation has made not much progress. And there will be a resumption of face-to-face diplomacy going forward. As Foreign Minister, a Northern Territory issue included peace treaty negotiations. What will be your approach in negotiating with Russia?
Yeah, you talked about face-to-face meeting, but just the other day at the UN General Assembly occasion, I met with Foreign Minister Lavrov for Russia, at which time we had wide-ranging discussions over Japan-Russia relationship in a mutually beneficial way. We discussed how we can go about it, inclusive of the conclusion of the peace treaty. So toward the overall development of Japan-Russia bilateral relationship through various opportunities, we will continue the discussion. That's what I confirmed with Foreign Minister Lavrov. So resolving the territory issue and conclude the peace treaty. With this in mind, we will continue our negotiation.
Next question, Azuhari-san.
Thank you. Azari Panorama News, Army Japan. Congratulations on continuing.
Thank you so much.
You said, Minister, that there will be no major change in Japan's foreign policy as it is based on the foundation. But how would you run the diplomacy in your style, given the so-called dovish and very peaceful or too peaceful approach of Prime Minister Kishida? Thank you.
Yeah, you asked me about the Japanese diplomacy, which is found in the Japan-US alliance and free and open Indo-Pacific vision, which needs to be realized. So that is a tenet. And also, in new industrial areas, we need to make new rules, and we will exert leadership on that. And also, at the same, we need to deal with the pandemic as well as climate change, which are the global challenges of the entire world, we will cooperate together with other countries and make proactive contribution. That is Japan's consistent position. Well, Prime Minister Kishida said that based on the trust that Japan had built over the years, he will go on. That is a big thing because look at the Middle East and other countries. These countries trust Japan very much, and based on that, trusting relations, 3 determinations have been expressed by Prime Minister Kishida to protect democracy, to protect peace and security of Japan, and to lead the international community by making contributions to mankind. And with that in mind, Prime Minister Kishida said that he would sternly go ahead with his diplomatic policy and security. That remains to be unchanged.
Other questions? If not, then we would like to conclude this press conference. Thank you very much, everybody, for your participation.